Alright guys, welcome back with the discussion for Season 8, Episode 2 of Game of Thrones, A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms. Awesome episode title, and I'm going to be doing something a little differently this time, guys. From now on, I'm going to be trying to do these discussions without copious notes, because I wanted to get better. The reason I started this channel was to try to get better at public speaking, or one of the reasons was that. And I feel like right now, in the past, I've been typing up really, very detailed, word for word what I'm gonna say, and then I would ad-lib a little bit of it. But now I feel like I need to get to that point where I need to take that next step and actually get better at talking without so many notes. So hopefully it'll be okay. But yeah, I'm glad Jaime found a place up here in the north. Brienne and Tyrion had to stand up for him. Daenerys wanted to lop his head off probably, or burn him most likely. I'm glad Brienne stood up for him and Sansa trusted in her. But yeah, Jaime found a place here, and it seems he actually wants to take on Cersei when the war in the north is over. I wasn't sure if that was the case. I didn't think that was the case until... But there were several things in this episode that made me feel that way. The way he was talking about things. I would have said that he finally sees Cersei for who she really is, but Tyrion says Jaime has always known who Cersei is, but loved her anyway. And I think I might be more on board for that interpretation. We also get Jaime talking with Bran about how he's changed, how he himself has changed. Really fascinating. Nobody else really knows what he did to Bran, right? I think Brienne might. I don't remember exactly when that conversation with Catelyn happened, when he admitted to pushing Bran out the window. I could be remembering all of this wrong, but I think Catelyn asked him why he did it when Brienne was there, in that cage, but I'm not completely sure. Jon was being standoffish to Daenerys all episode, and I don't know, it's really funny because I think he's concerned with I just banged my aunt a couple episodes ago, whereas she comes in you have a claim to the Iron Throne, and it's really funny. But he has a reason for being standoffish, and we find that out later, or we know, but Daenerys finds out later. Big thing happened with Arya and Gendry. He realizes how good she's gotten with at combat, just a little bit. I feel like that's just the surface. And then he rushes to make her weapon, and it turns out to be a double-sided. It has to remind some of you of Darth Maul's double-sided lightsaber, right, guys? I thought them getting together, having sex was a little weird, given that when Gendry met her when she was a literal child, 11, 12, I don't know. Someone said he was a child too when they met, but I don't consider late teens a literal child. I don't even know how old he was back then, but I assume he was in his late teens. But Arya is the one to initiate things, so it's better than if it was the other way around. And this is the first time on the show, I think, that we've seen a female main character have a consensual first sexual experience, I think. Talissa wasn't a main character, but her with Robb, that might have been consensual. That might have been her first encounter, and it was consensual. But yeah, I don't know if it was her first time. Either way, it's refreshing to see a woman on the show choose what to do with her body on her own terms. But it still felt a little weird. Arya, even just divorcing all the age stuff from it, Arya just felt so detached from it. She was grilling him about his sexual encounters, brushed right past the fact that Gendry might have gone through some trauma with those leeches. She even plays the game of faces with him to see when he's lying, that he doesn't keep count of how many women he's been with. That is some really creepy crap. I get it, there's no time before the Night King arrives, and they wanted to get this scene in with them together, because they wanted closure. But yeah, I think there definitely needed to be more build up, and the way Arya went about it, if I'm Gendry, I'm uncomfortable, at least a little bit. And yeah, I think it's still cool to see how the show actually have a woman initiate their first consensual sexual experience. But there's for the viewer, I don't feel like there was any emotional satisfaction to it. There was no indication Arya was ever interested in him in that way until the last episode. And the encounter felt like she was giving orders to Gendry. Like there was no intimacy or vulnerability. It's not like I wasn't like, yeah, finally. I don't know if anybody was. Maybe some of you guys were. Let me know. It was just like, okay, this is happening. But yeah, Daenerys's mind. Someone actually commented on this too, and I had her written this commentary a little bit, and she's participating in like revisionist history. She rewrites history based on like what is convenient to her at the time. Jorah recommends keeping Tyrion as Hand to the Queen, and she says, "You're advising me to forgive the man who stole your position." Like, Tyrion didn't steal shit. Like, he never asked to be Hand of the Queen. She gave him that pin. And granted, he hasn't been doing the best job, but if you're gonna blame Tyrion, you have to blame yourself. Like, Sansa brings it up later. Like, Daenerys is like, he never should have trusted Cersei, and Sansa says, you never should have either. And, like, this is Tyrion's freaking sister. Of course he might not be objective. I blame Daenerys and her other advisors more for buying Cersei's word than Tyrion not buying it. Or for Tyrion buying it. I feel like Tyrion's strength is ruling a kingdom he knows intimately. Like, he did great while he was Hand to Joffrey, but he wasn't able to adapt that quickly in Essos. So I think he would be great at ruling Westeros. Meanwhile, Daenerys' strength is inspiring people and conquering. But for ruling, I had strong doubts already. But the way she rewrote history in her mind in this episode, like I don't trust people like that. I don't trust her to rule. I mean, she'd still be better than Cersei, but Daenerys says Jon is only the second person whose words she's trusted. The first being Khal Drogo, I guess, not Dario. And I guess not Jorah. I guess at some point it was Jorah until he betrayed her. But yeah, she says someone taller. That literally does not narrow it down at all. Like, what else? Sansa and Daenerys are interrupted by Theon's arrival, and Daenerys sees that Theon is like super loyal to Sansa, and I think that bothers her too. Like, she's just so concerned with like how she wants people's respect so much that it kind of bothers me. Like, right now, I think at the beginning of the series, it was I wanted Jon or Daenerys on the throne, and with each passing season, it became more Jon and less Daenerys, and now it's more Sansa too. I don't know who else could. I've seen some theories out there that Gendry sits on the throne, but I don't know if that he's prepared to do that. I mean, he doesn't have any experience like leading people that much, and he doesn't know the politics. Like he has a good heart, but like I don't know how good that would serve him as king. But yeah, let's see. Sansa has been talking a lot to Lord Royce, like every single scene we've seen her in. This time we actually heard it was like about battle prep, but like, is she plotting something? I'm not completely sure. Davos with that little girl, with the facial scarring. God, that hit home. Oh man. And she wanted to fight. I love what Gilly did with asking her to protect the crypt, asking them to protect everybody. Which brings me to my first question. Let me actually pull that up. I should have pulled it up before. Paula asks... Wait, no. This is... Actually, no. Nobody asked this question. I think some people asked them in YouTube. I thought it was on Patreon. But somebody was asking, like, oh, what do you think about... Oh, no, wait. Craig asked this. Will the Night King be able to revive the Starks that are in the crypt? So that is going to be scary if that's the case. I think... Why wouldn't he be able to? I think he'll be able to. I'm just hoping like the bodies have decayed so much that he can't revive them. But I feel like the bones aren't all that. I don't know how bones are connected. Maybe some of them are just so deteriorated that they're not a threat. But there should be like a lot of Starks in there, and not a lot of warriors down in the crypts. Everybody who can fight is up above the crypts, about to fight at Winterfell. So, if the Night King is able to bring back... The thing is, I don't know the range on his powers, so he'd have to be pretty close to the crypts to do that. I don't know if they'll allow him does he have to be in the crypts to revive them? I don't know how close he needs to be. But it'll be interesting to see if that happens. He might be able to do that. I mean, he will be able to revive. He's able to revive dead people, but I don't know if he's capable. I don't know how far gone some of these Starks are. I don't know what happens to bones and stuff. Like, after, I don't know how long you need to be buried or like in a crypt before like your bones shatter, like when you touch them. But anyway, Bran talks about how the Night King is after him because he is the world's memories. And that's really interesting. But what I noticed was that Sam builds him up in that moment. Like, he knows that the more people believe what Bran says, the greater Jon's claim to the throne will be. And so, yeah, Sam is willing to push Jon, try to get him to be king. And that's real. It's strategic on his part to be like, oh yeah, if I wanted to destroy the history of men, or if I wanted to destroy men, I would go after you first. Like, he's building up Bran. Really smart. That scene by the fire is amazing from start to finish. First with Jaime and Tyrion talking. Tyrion's like, I wish father were here so he could see his two sons die for Winterfell. And Jaime freaking snorted after like a few seconds. He was like, he's like laughing. I can't even do it. Tyrion pouring wine for Pod after Brienne says half a cup, and his facial expressions, he was just like, I'm pouring this. He's like, really great. And Tormund is the MVP of this episode. After last episode where he's like, my eyes have always been blue. That was hilarious. And this time, coming in, it was so funny when he entered the room. Like, Brienne could tell he entered the room. She felt him on her back. Really, really funny. And him talking about giants, why his name is Giantsbane. And it's just the most ridiculous story. And I don't know if he's, like, it's the weirdest flex. I don't know if he thinks he's being charming when he's telling the story or not. Everybody's just, like, staring at him like he's crazy. I don't know how much they buy his stories, but even if they do, they're just like, this is the most ridiculous thing. I don't know. It's oh my god. Tormund is ridiculous. But yeah, his other lines were great too. Women can't be knights? Why not? Tradition. Fuck tradition. Yeah, Tormund is great. And then, I'm not king, but if I were, I'd knight you 10 times over. God, leave it up to Tormund to make knighting someone sound so sexual. Like, I would knight you over and over and over. But yeah, Jaime knights her. Like, it's so great because everybody made fun of her when she was a child. And she kind of played it off as a joke when he first told her to kneel. And she doesn't let herself believe because she had given up on that kind of recognition. But everyone in that room held her in the highest regard. And I love the way she communicates with Pod, like with just like several significant glances. Like, he's like telling her, like, this is okay, like, this is real, we're behind you, like, this is, everybody believes that you should be a knight. And yeah, she looks at him for like, not approval, but for like reassurance, and he gives it to her with like just the slightest acting cues, and it's great. And we've never seen her smile like that. That was so sweet. And she trusts Jaime too. Like, who better to knight her than him? I guess Sansa, if she's the queen. I don't know, but Jaime is pretty great because of what he represents. And Jorah was trying to get Lyanna Mormont to hide in the crypt because he still cares about his house. If she dies, I'm gonna riot. Lyanna Mormont. One Lyanna has to live until the end of the series. Come on, guys. I'm gonna be so mad if she dies. Though I'm sure her 62 men, or however many, I'm guessing she has more than 62 men, but I'm guessing they're all gonna be trying to protect her at the same time. But yeah, I'll be really sad if she dies. But yeah, I feel like a lot of people, they were setting up a lot of closures, so they couldn't just do closures for everybody who was gonna die. They had to do closures for everybody, otherwise it would be very clear who's gonna die. But the Night King is going to come for Bran. He's going to be used as bait in the Godswood. That's going to be really fun to watch. And then there was that conversation in the crypt between Jon and Daenerys, and of course, it had to end right with the horns blowing. I really like that they adopted the horn blowing from the Night's Watch. 3 blasts, meaning the White Walkers are here. It makes sense given that Jon is from the Night's Watch. It's a signal that he understands and can easily implement, and it's really relevant. So makes sense. Let me get into some other questions. Craig had another one. What other suggestion did Jorah have for Daenerys? The next scene was Dany talking to Sansa, but that doesn't seem like something Jorah would ask, nor does anything else we saw last night fit my idea of what we didn't hear. I did assume it was Sansa talking to Sansa just because of how they cut from that scene directly to Daenerys talking to Sansa. I think it's important for him to. I think it was important to Jorah because he believes that's like the strategic thing to do to try to build this bond. And like it's not important for this fight, but he's thinking several steps ahead. I still think Jorah should be like he gives up the hand position and says that Tyrion should be it, but I think he's got a place too. Like even, I mean, doesn't a person have 2 hands most of the time, except for Jaime? So she should get a right hand and a left hand. But yeah, I think that was what it was. I don't know otherwise what it could be. But yeah, Paula asks or says the off-screen conversation of Bran's journey that he told to Tyrion. Bran obviously told him something we already know, but what will that be? Will it be a slap to the forehead moment because we are so stupid? Like, what could he? I guess what you're asking is what is something obvious that Bran? What is something that Bran knows that should be obvious to us that would like blow Tyrion's mind? Well, let's follow Bran's story. Does Tyrion know that Bran was pushed out the window? I don't think he does. I think that will blow his mind like immediately. That will make him view his brother differently. I don't think he knows. Correct me if I'm wrong. And then Bran. Does Tyrion know about Littlefinger's dagger and how it was blamed? Oh, yeah, he does, because yeah. Right, because that's what he was on trial for in the beginning, in season 1. Yeah, season 1. What else happened to Bran? I mean, he can learn about what happened up north. He can learn about the Three-Eyed Raven. Like, all that stuff is gonna blow his mind, but I don't know what else. I think the big one is that he's gonna find out about Jaime pushing Bran out of the window. I don't think he knew that, and. You know what could be really interesting? Because Bran can see whatever he wants. If he wanted to, he could go back and see what the circumstances of Tyrion as a child. Tyrion, he could know that Tyrion, like Cersei pinched Tyrion's dick as a child, like just because she hated him. Yeah, a lot of interesting things could happen. Like Bran, it might not necessarily all have to do with what Bran has gone through. Like Bran could have told him a lot of different things that he's seen. He could tell him about Jon being the legitimate heir to the throne, and Tyrion is loyal to Daenerys, but he has to realize on some level that Jon would be a better ruler, right? Like, once you get that confirmation that Jon is the legitimate heir, or has more of a claim as heir to the throne than Daenerys, I don't know if he switches sides. But yeah, so that's all the questions we have for this time. And now for a score for this episode, I'm going to give this episode a 4 direwolves. 4 direwolves. It's really fun. A lot of good closure, but I think there wasn't as many like great reunions as there were last episode. Unless you can count Theon and Sansa as a Stark reunion, right? Though it's only been like a season and a half or 2. But yeah, I enjoyed this episode. I think I would have scored this a 3.5 or 3 actually, or 3.5. If it wasn't for Brienne's scene. Her scene was amazing. Pretty sure I teared up. And it was just great seeing her smile like that. It's everything she's ever deserved, and I'm really, really happy about that. But that's going to be it for this time, guys. Oh, wow, it's gone for a long time. This commentary has been longer because I've been talking out of my mouth, out of my brain, instead of on the screen. But hopefully you enjoyed this discussion, and I'll see you guys soon for episode 3, this big, huge freaking battle. I can't believe we're finally here. But yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye, friends.